What's up, everybody? Another day in Los Angeles, and today it's raining. Funny enough, raining in Los Angeles. Imagine that. I also got my coffee today. We're drinking black coffee, just like my soul. But anyway, today's video is going to be about charging people for your time. The reason why I wanted to mention this in general is because I feel like a lot of people take other people's time for granted, and more often than not, people don't really think about it. But as a business owner, as a marketer, as a social media marketer, as a videographer, you should take that into consideration. Especially, I'm learning this now because basically I'm in this traffic, right? I'm in this traffic. This is absolutely stupid. I wish I could show you. Hold on, let me just show you for a second how bad this traffic is. Okay, so I'm basically gonna be on here. I don't know if you can see all this traffic that's over there. Hold on, let me see if I can do this sort of situation. Maybe you can see it, I'm not entirely sure. Anyway, it's a lot of freaking traffic. And, I'm not necessarily one to be in a lot of traffic, mainly because I don't allow myself to be in traffic. But every time when it comes to my clients, I'm always putting myself in these really weird situations in order to help them out because I want to provide a good service. However, that doesn't necessarily come at the expense of my time, right? Because as you grow as a business owner, as you grow as a social media marketer, as you grow as a videographer, you have to take into consideration the amount of time your clients are taking away from you in order to, instead of using that time for making more business, if that makes sense. So what I'm now learning is that I have to invoice these guys and gals for driving time. I'm thinking of maybe doing some things along the lines of, if a drive is longer than an hour's, you pay for the difference as far as how long it takes for me to get to a freaking venue. Because this venue right now that I'm actually going to film a podcast for one of my clients is an hour and 30 minutes away. An hour and 30 minutes away from my Airbnb, because they live in the central area of the San Gabriel Valley, right? And I was staying in El Monte. And then all of a sudden, he has this venue booked out in Hudson. So now I have to drive an hour and a half away from where I'm staying in order just to get to the place. And I'm a little annoyed, to be quite honest with you, because I wasn't told where the location was at up until yesterday. So I'm going to obviously bring that to his attention, of course, and be like, hey, you need to let me know, or at least book these dates out in advance. So that way I'll be able to get there with no problem. And then I understand exactly where I'm coming from, because I didn't know that I was going to be driving an hour and a half just to get to the freaking venue. And that's when we're finishing. I still have to drive an hour and a half back. You know what I'm saying? So literally 3 hours wasted on the road. So I figured, why not come on here and make a video about it? So as I'm driving down this I think it's the 605, I'm just wondering multiple ways in which that I could charge people for the amount of time that they're wasting me, right? Because we don't get more time. We can always get more money, but we never get any more time. So then how can I counteract that in such a way where there's a framework where it's fair and I still make that money back in some way, shape, or form? At least if you're going to waste my time, I might as well charge you, because I could be using that time to cold call, I could be using that time for outreach, I could be using that time for making more business. So, a couple ways that I figured out as I was driving was essentially charging people for the difference, like I mentioned earlier before, charging people a flat rate so you can't, the B word, moan and complain. And on top of that, you could also add that to your service overall in general, just for travel, right? For me, on the social media side and the ad side, it's more so just a flat rate, which has been working. But more often than not, I find myself in these types of situations. So I'm like, dude, this freaking sucks, you know what I mean? So my thing is just when you're going about your business, when you're going about shooting content, when you're going about developing your agency, I would recommend charging for the time lost, so that way it's not really a situation in which that you could have made money otherwise. And I know I'm just beating a dead horse with this one point, but I digress, because it really sucks, yo. It's imagine you have like a shoot on the other side of LA or in a different state and you have to catch a flight. It's like now you have to drive an hour and a half and you have to basically just like rush and all that stuff. If it's anybody's consideration, I don't like being rushed, right? Like I'll rush to do things so that way I can get there early, but I will never, ever, ever in my life do something if somebody rushes me. My body, my mind, my spirit just immediately shuts down. I'm like, dude, like why? You know, you could have done this, that, and the third, but otherwise then you got to move on and then just basically take care of the thing. But I'm not going to be rushed, you know what I'm saying? Because especially if it's not my fault, you know what I mean? But otherwise, there's a fine line between like catering towards your client and on top of that getting taken advantage of, if that makes sense. And you as a business owner, you have to just basically see how you can operate within those lines or within that realm where it's okay to you and it's also fair to your client. You can't just be like, oh, well, you have to pay me for every single little thing on the planet. It's just like, no, of course, like if you like your client, this, that, and the third, and I like this client genuinely, but if you have big, hairy, audacious goals just like me, your time is super, 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 super valuable. I don't care what anybody says. So that's why commitments, or more so than anything else, you honor them to the T and nothing else, you know? Anything outside of that, they have to pay. And this is just, I just wanted to record this to basically let y'all know that, like, just take this into consideration when you're trying to do more for your client and supersede, like, the general expectations, like most really great entrepreneurs would anyway. Like, going out to see them in real life, like, seeing them in their home state, like staying at a place, buying an Airbnb so that way you don't have to worry about any of the stuff, to shoot content for them, traveling, this, that, and whatever, like your food, like there's a bunch of different stuff. But just before you do anything else, just take this into consideration, learn from my mistakes, and you'll have a better time operating in your business, especially when it revolves around video. But I hope you liked the video. I hope this makes sense. If you liked the video, make sure to subscribe and like, because it helps me out, and I put videos out like this every single week and you don't want to miss them. Otherwise, if you're a contractor like a roofer, bathroom installer, floor, etc., 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 and you want an appointment setting system on autopilot, just literally click the first link in the description and we'll set up an appointment to help you out. Otherwise, I hope you guys have a great day and I'll see you in the next one.